Okay, yay! 10-minute delay isn't terrible, but any delay was more than it needed to be. So hi, Ben here from Cinder Studios. I'm working on a piece, and I'm excited because, well, I have this to work on. It's large, and I had to drag out my big A-frame easel just to be able to work on it because I was like, there's too much vertical space for this for me to actually do anything with it. So, I am starting this by I'm gonna build up a bit of grab a pastel pencil because I do have a building up this background color, which is mostly gonna stay dark, but I want to put the indication in of like a doorway or something back here that will be relatively and barely visible. So I'm going to build off of that, or just a recessed area or something, but something that pushes the section in the center back further than the base gray. So that's where I'm starting. I don't even have any paint dragged out yet. I've got water, a palette, and a sketchbook sitting here, so I think I want to build this with some dark blues and violets to kick that back a little bit. But the only thing I did a lot of stuff yesterday, but in particular with this piece was just laying on those darks and filling out those areas. So the idea for this piece is to essentially make a series of these 3 waterfalls, but the waterfalls themselves coming off of these rocks are going to light and illuminate the piece as a whole. So I really want to play with utilizing relatively cool colors for all the shadow work, and then just slowly build that color up. Hopefully. Hopefully. So yeah. I will do my best to throw in some varying narration as I go, but this is primarily just going to be a working afternoon for me. Once I get some color mixed up. Might use, what's the tint strength on this thing? I don't know. Reasonable. Bit of that over there. Okay. One of them, decent brush. That'll work. Palette knife to mix this up with. Yeah, it's mostly mostly blue, but it does lean warmer in some areas. Okay. May have to back the camera up so my arm's not in the way. It should be good. Just darken it. I'll probably get some slightly lighter grays on that outer edge, but just getting that as the initial layer should work. Hopefully. If nothing works, I'll just end up painting over it, but this wasn't the strongest sketch out of this series on my sketchbook, but I'm like, you know, I bet I could make this work. Really kind of playing with just letting the brush do things here. Because I'm, again, working this scale, I'm definitely holding back on the brush more too, just to slap in a little extra dark texture into the background here. The initial gray layer was pretty thick. I did that yesterday evening, morning, I can't remember. Sometime yesterday. So I guess to some degree this piece will lean a little more architectural than kind of what I'm used to doing and used to painting with, but shouldn't be anything too drastic. Ah, shit. Drop the brush immediately. Nice. Still kind of keeping things loose at this point, though. No need to get too fancy with anything. I know you guys can't see below the white here, but can only do so much. Not that I'll be doing a lot down there today anyway. It's just I gotta make sure it's maintaining the same color throughout. Alright. Feels pretty good. I'll bring some warmer tones into that upper layer. I want to grab a little different. What was that? I think that was used paint. That was used paint 2. It had to be, right? Maybe? Not sure. Hold on, wait a minute. Yeah, that's that color. Good. Sure, I'll probably, based on the scale of this, I'm sure I'm going to be using about 4 palettes this afternoon. Rag. Rag. Just that upper. God, I just want to kind of fade that together. I'm not looking for a sharp outline, just sort of a fade from the lighter to the darker. Especially since it's in the background too, so it's just really just pushing that to the point where I'm not really seeing. I mean, you wouldn't see the detail anyway, because I mean it's behind as the backdrop. So yeah. Alright. That looks pretty good. Build a little bit of light on these edges, but I shouldn't need a ton. Probably just some slight textural work while still maintaining the value. So I'm actually going to kind of hold my brush in like drawing layout method, just drag with it. Just for that extra, just to pick up, basically picking up on some of the underlying texture I built yesterday. A little bit to define that edge, but again, keeping that loose. Barely even there. Okay. I'm going to get a really washy orange color here, because I just want to place in where the waterfalls will be without really painting them yet. So one will be here, and one will be kind of in the middle here. And then one's kind of like that. Just kind of placeholders right now. That feels pretty good. Just real light. Just a hint here. That is the plus side about working dark and then building in that light, is you can really just slowly make those decisions. It's a lot more relaxed that way. As long as you don't go too light too fast. Let's actually pull maybe some more horizontal strokes in here, because I do want to give the indication that it is essentially brick, but not. Ooh, I actually really like that. Very light strokes. Kind of lets your brain do the work for you. Or forces the whatever. The human brain's doing the work to tell you that there's bricks here, and all I'm doing is just dropping in really faint little strokes. That's gonna work well. I'm gonna go ahead and just do this everywhere now. Simple little. So minimal, you know. Probably going to be some glazing layers towards the end of the piece, but because this is so early on right now that it's just... can barely see it. Just tiny bricks, tiny bricks. Of course, if I was using the technique that I was using for painting the bricks in the tutorial that I put out, then would be a lot more layers at this point, but again, background stuff, so... Mostly dry brushing with it too, but I do still need to wet the brush to pull a little in. Too much. That looks good. Slowly coming to life here. Drip of water. Keep it flowing, just not too much. You guys can probably see that a little bit better now. Just real faint in that area. I can make a couple of them stand out a little bit more, but not too much. Yeah, it feels pretty good. Probably want to do the same thing down below as well, though I could be able to make it a little darker. Pull some more of that blue in there. Tilt that down there for you. If chat was more active, I'd tell you guys to remind me, but whatever. I think I saw somebody over in chat. Let me get this right side done. I'll hop over and have a look. Debated on whether or not to have my phone off on the side here to monitor that, but yeah. In any given situation, I'd rather focus on the piece than try and do both at the same time. I'll just do my best to check back periodically. Yeah, it's pretty good. A lot of this is getting covered up anyhow with the bridge and everything, so I'm gonna have this dual arched bridge here in the center, lower center anyway. Who's your hippie Denise? Welcome. Kind of just putzing around right now. My rough sketch is the only thing guiding me. But I appreciate you being here to watch. Alright, what do we got? Here. Too much water. Wipe that off. Well, now I don't have enough paint. Alright. A little bit more white. There, here. Alright. That's what I get for not mixing up enough color. It's under there. Okay, that feels pretty good. Let me tilt that back up a little. I probably don't actually have to do it with the dark section of the back. I was thinking about it as I was working, but I'm like, I think putting that extra layer of detail in the darks probably isn't necessary. At least for the sake of uniformity and everything. Especially the way I'm pushing the composition anyhow. Alright. I do want to start really establishing the rocks, the floaty rocks, though. But at least I would say, well, yeah, I'm thinking probably floaty rocks, and then start building in the base land here. Is probably the way to go. Pull some of that blue in to here, where that water is eventually going to reflect the other junk in this piece. Or not really reflect, but I need it to stand out, because I mean the water is gonna glow. The water's the light source for this one, so. But I still need to establish the darks underneath, so it does pop out more. Okay, I'm gonna need my other used paint jar for the browner mix. Yeah, just getting that built into there, because I won't end up. I want to build the land around where those spots are, rather than against them. Or well, that and over top of it and under top of it. Under top of it? That's not a real phrase. Alright. Where the... Again. And then just pre-establishing the waterfalls with where those were sitting. So this will be thinner and smaller right here. This is wider and larger right here. I just don't want to lose where those are falling in from. But I don't want to slap them in this early, because then I'd have to paint around them and probably paint over them like 3 or 4 times. Alright. Used paint, no white. Okay. Yeah, this is it's my cheat brown. Quick and easy. Quick and dirty. When did you make that? Over the course of 6 months. Or 2 years, possibly. Anyway. Used paint. Always fun. I'm going to pull some bit of that blue mix in there, though, so I can start dark and work my way brighter, as I've been doing. Yeah, that's good. I switched back to... I went to the dollar store. Fortunately, it's now $1.25 store. Because I really missed using terry cloth towels to paint with. So I'm like, let's just go get a couple of towels at the dollar store, because they're cheap. Am I going to be doing vines and greenery? Somewhat. My plan is the base land here is going to be very green. The last layer will be some like green hanging down over the edge for some natural framing, in addition to the weird splatter framing. Well, actually, then again, I'm not sure though. Too, I may or may not need to do that, but I don't know. Things are still kind of up in the air right now. But the least I can do is start establishing some of these other shapes in here. I did knife in the rocks yesterday, so those are gonna still remain relatively easy shapes for my eye to follow at this point. But yeah, just getting that squared away in here. And I distinctly wanted the floaty rocks to be a different rock color and material from the rest of everything, so they feel way more out of place. Otherworldly, perhaps. And I will pull some of that light up and around it and build those shapes once I have this established, but yeah. Can always glaze and reglaze as I need to later. My real challenge here is because that light, the waterfall is the light source. it's really forcing me to think where to establish my highlights, which I'm not obviously not doing yet, but it is still a noteworthy challenge because it's screwing with my brain a little. And it's probably gonna have to be mostly lit from the bottom up, which makes these highlights and the bricks make more sense. But I'm thinking that because the water's coming off of the rocks, where it's pooling and falling on the baseland, and that's probably going to be the majority of the light. Because I would imagine that the higher concentration of water would then make have the higher concentration of light as a result. Having to keep, yeah, got to keep reminding myself of that though. All right, dip this down a little. Yeah, as soon as I start, after I establish these darks, as soon as I establish, yeah, as soon as I establish these darks, I can establish these darks. Right? No, put in the baseline and stuff, and give that a couple minutes, and put that first highlight layer on there. That's where things are going to start to pop. I did this painting. When the hell did I do that painting? I don't know. It's got to be at least 3 or 4 years since I've done it. It was called Luminous River. It was a relatively simple night scene piece on a piece of slate where I played with that idea of the light, the water is the light source. So I'm kind of leaning a little bit on my memory of doing that one for this. But because there's no sky for this one, I have to really play with the textural difference in the everything else. And then subsequently with both light and water kind of as one element, then all the foliage would then be radiating specifically out closer to where the water is. So that actually probably wouldn't make as much sense then to do the overlying draped dark layers at the very end, because all the way up here in the foreground, way away from the water, there wouldn't be any plant life. It would just be the bricks. So this is basically just me thinking out loud. It's just all the stuff I'm in any given piece that I'm thinking about while I'm working. It's like, how do I, just visual problem solving. Like how do I do this? What would this look like? Based on nature and physics, but also funny magic in the world that I'm making. Still has to make sense, is what I'm getting at. Yeah, there'll be a couple of trees or something in the middle here. Definitely want to put like one in there. A few here. Bit of a bunch them up together. And then where are we at? Sketch there. These will come in front of this rock here. But again, not till way later. But still establishing where they're at, it's important. Man, Hoosier, you're lighting up the chat. Nice to have someone talking with me, though. Yeah. Yeah, this is both the physically this piece as well as the composition as a whole is relatively large. My little people, the way I normally put in, are going to be on this bridge down here, and basically tiny little specks. The idea is that this is a huge, grand underground uh, cavern, or maybe even like beneath a castle kind of thing. It's probably I'd say a lot of the stuff from the Tears of the Kingdom trailer, especially the new one that came out. I get the feeling it's fueling a lot of the subconscious decisions I'm making about the piece. But I suppose that's a good thing, you know. Zelda series is a ongoing inspiration for me, so this will actually end up being a more further over here. This way more. That feels better. Yeah. Yeah, like the floaty rocks and the baseline being that same brown, that they're very earthy, more clay-like, where the rest of that piece is very much like stone, limestone, marble. Well, probably not marble being this dark, but that kind of thing. Tempted to actually flip this whole thing over to do the highlights on the other side of the rocks. I don't think I need to though. It's gonna be about really just kind of getting that to, I don't know, feel right. It's hard to describe. It's so much as just doing it in the moment and thinking about it. Glad I brought my water down here. Talking this much, be talking all afternoon. I'll need a drink of water periodically. Hey, Tasha, nice to see you in a live one. Of course, I don't do live stuff a ton on this channel anymore. I used to do stuff a lot more often, but like every couple months I try to get something going. I had recorded a quick tip for this week, but it's kind of terrible, so I'm like, I gotta do something here. And I don't want to just do another vlog because, well, I mean, I did a vlog last week, and I still try to keep to that every other week cycle. But I looked at my list of videos to make, and I'm like, every single one of these I have to write. They need like at least a week of prep time, and I haven't done any of the prep work for those videos because so much of this week was the build up. So I starting to announce this here and there, but I have an established gallery space and a rough time this summer for these splatter pieces to do my first solo exhibition in 9 years. I didn't think it had been that long. I was looking back on my website through all my shows. I'm like, the last time I really did a big solo show at a gallery, it was 9 years ago. And I'm like, whoa! And thinking back to that time, I was like, wow, I'm like, my process and approach to that more business side of things is so wildly different now. So I'm excited, and in doing so, is that sketchbook's here. Let's see, because there's basically two wall spaces at this gallery, And so my friend that runs the place was like, "We can do big, heavy stuff too if you need to." I'm like, "Oh, cool." So I'll do 2 of these big ones, and then my idea is to do the vertical one and a bunch of pieces surrounding it, a bunch of the smaller ones surrounding it, because it's the biggest one of these splatter ones I've done. So a big vertical one and a bunch, and then a horizontal big one, and then a bunch around that. I think that'll probably work really well. The thing now though is just to get those bigger pieces done. And I was like, all right, if I'm going to do these big pieces, then I really, really, really got to bring my A game with them. I can't just do any old whatever piece. I got to amp it up, scale everything, just pull pieces that are going to really be those ones that make that bigger statement. All right, I can probably start highlighting some stuff now. All right, tilt this up just a hair. Also looks like I might be out of focus here, slightly. That's the other thing, is like I'm always in focus to start, but too much crap on my desk here. Or not desk, but whatever the hell it is. Save, damn it. Focus, 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 focus. I mean, I turned autofocus off, but... Oh, that's better. Cool. Slightly better, anyway. I mean, it's still going to be some level of degradation with being live, but... Okay. Some of that color, some of this color. Just kick it up a little bit to start. It's still pretty gray, but we are leaning warmer, which is the goal. Alright, so lights here. This is coming down from the top, or the bottom, rather. Yeah, this is just... There's little things here, just immediately everything's just gonna pop. Which is what makes all this so much fun anyway. And I can always go darker or lighter as I need to, but... Alright. That's fair. It's gonna be coming from up there, so I do wanna... Yeah. It's not bad. Okay. That's the best one right there. Always forget to make things feel more angular. Though general shapes here, I gotta just blocks in perspective. Simple stuff. Doesn't mean I forget. Doesn't mean I remember to do it all the time, but. In which case now, I'm gonna reestablish some of these darks in here, because that's gonna fall. That. This way. Where are we at with this blue? Okay. Same as my blue is almost dried up. I gotta grab a little more. A little high on my camera angle there. Do I usually listen to audio? Yes, all the time. I actually have a playlist of video game remixes going on in my headset right now. I'd put that on the live stream, but I'd probably get copyright flagged, so can't really do that. Do I start with a sketch on a canvas? I do normally. It kind of depends. I over the course of time and such, when I started using paint markers, that kind of changed things a bit for me because I was always using graphite. And the problem with using graphite when you sketch on canvas, especially if you're like for landscape, you're trying to establish a sky. As soon as that white touches that gray, your beautiful white part of the sky turns gray. So I started using paint markers a couple of years ago, and it really allows me to just establish those stronger lines. And my sketch is really loose. Like within the first layer of paint, the initial sketch is completely covered up. So for me, it's primarily just a mental guide than it is like a follow the number kind of thing, like a paint by number thing, which I tend to suggest people don't do, at least in terms of tutorials and things like that, because I run into I've seen people a lot of times will be afraid to paint over that line. They're like, oh, that's the edge of my line. I got to be perfectly right in there with the. It's like, no. You're going to paint over your sketch. You just gotta You just got to do that. And when you limit yourself just to the sketch on the canvas, and I'm not saying this is an absolute rule, but at least in my own work, I found that when I did that, it limited the kind of painting I could make, and in many ways, it kind of kept me from being able to be more expressive, especially with my brushwork. And I don't actually very rarely am holding the brush kind of layout style like this, but just for this scale and a lot of the shapes I'm making right now, it's just kind of the most effective. And if you guys have seen any of the painting process videos, you know it's extraordinarily rare for me to even work on an easel at all. But switching up the routine is always nice. And again, a vertical piece like this, I was saying kind of at the top of the show, that was like, I can't put this on my table. I literally don't have that. It's not that I don't have the room on the table. It's just the vertical uh, length of this makes it literally impossible to do on the table, at least for the early stages of a piece like this. So yeah, thinking about due for that second highlight layer. I feel better about this one. Still not super happy with it. These two are way better than that is, but a lot of this is going to be covered with the waterfall, so I'm slightly less concerned. I wish I didn't have so much backlighting today either. Like, it's been cloudy and miserable for like 2 weeks, and all of a sudden today it's bright when I want to work in the corner. I covered the side window. I should see if that would actually make a difference. Hang on. Where are my scraps at? This could work. Maybe. I don't know if that's gonna help any. Maybe. Doesn't look like it. Well, wait on. Hold on. Lag delay. Oh yeah, a little bit. A little bit of help. Oh geez, that helped a lot. Holy crap! Yeah, there we go. Shit, I should have done that in the first place. Now you guys can see a lot more of what I'm doing. Way less glare now. Alright. So next light layer up, I need some more color. Some of that color. Some of this color. Come on. One downside of working this large is I do tend to use up quite a lot more paint than I normally do. Seems like it's still about the same. Probably not, though. Little bit of light at a time here. Okay. Now. Oh yeah, wow, that's much lighter. Good. I was worried for a minute there. Way too much water on that brush. Not getting any of that dry brush effect I need. That's better. More paint, less water. Yeah. Glad I reestablished some of those darks, because now I can really start to play here a bit more. That. Oh, that's great. That's what I was looking for. Get those angles. That looks like a face. So now I gotta make it not a face here. Actually, had somebody in a live show once tell me, that looks like a giant middle finger. And I'm like, fantastic, that's the only thing I can see now. And I just basically threw the piece away on stream. And he goes, oh, sorry. And I was like, well, don't say shit like that to people. Now I can't unsee it. I'm sure that guy's somewhere being like, oh, I completely made an artist trash their piece one time. I'm not mad about it, but that piece did sit in the corner of my studio for a long time, and I'm like, yep, I hate this thing. But then again, it did get me to be a little more conscious of certain aspects of where I'm putting lines and shapes. Really excited to bring this into the lower section on this smaller rock here. Oh, heck yeah! That is awesome. Just bam! Pops right out with the highlight layer. I was when I was maybe about 11, like whole extended family got taken on this big trip to Aruba, and there was this big resort hotel, and two of the nights we were there, we went to like the big in-house restaurant that was there, and it's a little more fancy, so it's like bring a nice shirt for the big in-house restaurant. It was funny as every one of the waiters essentially was imitating sort of a classic TV chef. So there was our waiter who was the Emerald chef. So he'd put down the plate and pull the cloche and go bam, and then lift it. And across the restaurant, you could hear the other guy going voila and pulling this. Like it's like every single one of them had like their own little tagline. It was so much fun. I probably think about that dinner. Oh God, once or twice a year, I think about that, and it's just one of those ones that like memories that just sticks out in your head. It's like this was stupid fun. I also have a couple of things still floating around sort of my main display areas of the house. From that very same trip, I remember picking this rock up out of the sand. It was like really smooth because it just had been weathered down, and it's just like this big piece of limestone. But um, that rock is still very prominently displayed on along with my other rocks, hanging out upstairs. All right, I can probably afford to go maybe one layer lighter with a little bit more gold tones into there. Let me get some of that in establishing it. Most of this is going to be green anyway, but some of the initial rocks in here still kind of important, especially along the shoreline, I'd say. But and there and here. I'll probably end up sitting down for when I get to the grass section because I will have to concentrate a bit more for that, and likely we'll go back to holding my brush more normally. But still, getting those other shapes in there. All right, one shade lighter. I might grab a couple of drops of my cad yellow liquid just to add a little preemptive strike to it. So some of what's already on the brush, hint of that yellow and the gold, and very sparingly, and I mean very sparingly, just kind of frost it. A lot more of that's going to be coming later, but yeah, I can let that go. Put a little bit more in the lower side. That feels pretty good. Okay. I probably could do the waterfalls now, And I probably actually no, because some of this is gonna overlap the grass, so I have to do the grass now. Brush question. That's always fun. I'll have to see a second here. I would say probably yes and no, just so somewhat fancy. Do you have, let's use fancy brushes? Do you like to use the store brand? Store brand for the small, but large brushes I prefer something fancier. Honestly, it's a complete mixed bag. The brush that I'm currently using is actually a Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolor brush. The Cotman is technically their student line stuff, but I actually find that I really like watercolor brushes for acrylic painting, especially with the way that I work. But I have it's a complete mixed bag. I mean, little ones, I've got stuff that I couldn't tell you the brand if I tried. I've had this brush since I started painting, 23 years ago. I just bought a fan that I haven't even used yet, but I'm pretty sure this is a Princeton one that I sliced in. Oh, that's a Utrecht Tuscan series. I do like the Utrecht Tuscan series. They're really good. I don't normally like to talk about brands in particular because I'm always changing. There's a Princeton Select. I've been leaning towards some at least better quality ones, like the Utrecht and Black Master series ones. I really like, but they're usually, I don't know. It's again, but at the same time, I'll just go to the store and get a cheap crappy brush. Like this is a 2-inch hardware store brush. It's really dependent upon whatever I need at the time. And I've got so many brushes that I've really have those options to play around a little bit between all of them. But honestly, a lot of really basic flats and rounds are really a lot of my go-to. I would say basic flats and brights, like 90% of what I do. That's all it is. It's like a lot of people are like, "Oh, what fancy Photoshop brushes do you need for painting realistic stuff?" It's like hard round, soft round. That's it. Although I do like for Photoshop, I do like a nice hard square brush too. But still, it is very much that same thing of the brush does all the work for you, and honestly, just a relatively, honestly, the grand scheme of things, a relatively cheap brush will last me a lot longer than I think a more expensive one will, at least acrylic wise. Favorite brushes I always use. These Cotman ones are the ones that I like 9 times out of 10. That's the one I grab. I got a new one recently, but this is the one I kind of fell in love with. This is the Cotman 13 millimeter or half-inch, and it's the Cotman 666 one-stroke series. So this one I use constantly, and when I was getting a brush for a piece I did late last year, which was a larger, I think that was a Utrecht brush as well. This one, yeah, this is their white interlocked one. I needed a new, what I call an old reliable brush, so like a large, long handled flat brush. And then when I was there, I picked up this other Cotman one that is functionally very, very similar. But again, because it's a watercolor brush, it's going to hold a lot more of that thinned out paint. And if I'm using that longer handled one, it's like 9 times out of 10 for those. And I've gone through so many of those. I've got a lot of those old ones. I call them the old reliable brushes. But I wear them out so fast. So this was the first one I would call my old reliable brush. And I don't know what this one was, but it's almost I can't use it for that anymore. And it's the same thing. I'm really, 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 really hard on all my brushes. I don't take care of them as much as a lot of other artists do. And then I switched to, I think, this one, which is just as bad as this one is now. Like, you can save your brushes to some degree, and I've got a video on that. But at a certain point, when the paint dried into the ferrule is like up to here on the brush, it's so unusable for that, at least for the original purpose. This was This was a Liquitex Freestyle one that I destroyed very quickly. Yeah, this is one of the Utrecht Master Series ones. This one's held up better, but still splays out a lot. And this that is a University Windsor and Newton University flat, so that would have been student grade esque brush as well. This one's held up better, but it's still just a big poof at the end, even though it used to look like all these other ones. So after a certain point, they just get so splayed out like that I can't really use them for that purpose anymore. Which is kind of why I've switched to the watercolor ones more, is because they do really kind of hold that point a lot longer. And even this one, that I kind of, again, I have the replacement for this, but as soon as this is loaded up with paint, it turns into this again, which is kind of why I've leaned to using those more regularly now. But yeah, it is really about just establishing and getting it to hold that point to do a lot of that angular rock stuff. All right, time for my second palette, because this one's filled with a lot of browns. And I gotta make some greens. Not that I can't make greens in with the brown palette, but you know. Nice to have some fresh working space. Alright. Tilt this down a little. I'm gonna play probably traditional CAD yellows. CAD yellow, sap green, Prussian blue. Got this wrapped around 6 billion times. CAD, sap green. What about you, Tosha? Do you have any favorite brushes yourself? I'm always interested to see what other people use and if ever I can find new techniques and everything. But yeah, as before, yeah, as you're thinking, this entire piece so far, with the exception of the initial gray layer I did yesterday, has only been with this one brush. I have yet to switch out because I just haven't needed to. Suddenly, I've got heartburn. Suddenly, pineapples. We'll let some of the green things hang down a little here. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Kind of coming off over that cliff edge, you know. Splurged on nice watercolor brushes. Nice. Two long handles last summer. Filberts. Oh, yeah, I got a few filberts. I don't use them as much as I used to. Oil brushes you haven't used yet. Yeah, well, I'd say I have a whole separate set for oils, too, but those came from my late friend. And all of those are very worn out, so. Actually, I would say most of his are really pretty cheap, too. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I could paint for the next 20 years on top of that, and I still wouldn't be at his level. But I'm gonna have to get even lower than sitting. I'm gonna have to kneel on the floor to do a lot of this. I'm sitting here. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to get low enough for this. In which case, I'll probably have to throw a towel or something down so I don't hurt my knees. Perfectly square brushes. I tell you one that I haven't used a ton yet, but I got one after there was one of them in my friend Jim's old brushes that I was like, and as soon as I figured out what it was, I'm like, I'm gonna have to get another one of these. Um, Let me finish this green. I'll grab that one off my out of my jar. So it's a tool that is a brush tool for usually like art conservators and that sort of thing. But it's what they call a paste brush, and it's just a big, bushy, kind of like a round, but it's mostly flat across it doesn't come to a point. It just spaces out. And the idea is you get like glue and stuff like that to be able to apply it. But I like this because it's really thick at the ferrule where it comes out with the brush, but then it just thins and tapers out. So all of the weight is pretty much the bristles. So you can really just do a lot of tapping work with that. This I love for certain cloud and foliage applications, but it's such a cool brush. It was not cheap though. All right. I gotta do the waterfalls and the rivers now. Let me just get a little bit behind here, because that's where those are gonna jump out at. Okay, that's what I needed there. So now I am gonna switch brushes. I'm gonna grab a little bit of my transparent red oxide for base river. Just getting a little bit more in there. Lighter, lighter, lighter. Okay. And this is going to be all of them. So this will be the ones coming off the rocks, all of the rivers, and then we're going to go straight into the foreground ones as well. So, holy crap! Did I finish that playlist? Whoa! That was how many songs was that? 25. Oh, I thought it was more than that. Well, there's another 24, so I'll do that. Actually, can we go in order here? There we go. In order to track would be nice. All right. Mix some white. I'm gonna grab a. Do I grab another palette for that? No, I don't think I need to. But I do need some other white. And a much stiffer brush than what I've been using. White, 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 white. There we go. All right. Back up. Okay. For the first time in a while, though, I can actually do these waterfalls in 2 passes. Because the white, and then it's gonna be like the off white for the first one. So let's see. Which brush now, though, really is that question. All right. So, first time I'm switching out this brush, or switching out for a different brush. And this is exactly where these stiffer, older, worn out flats come perfectly in handy, which is why I don't throw anything away. Usually. Because now I need that variation for the waterfalls. Alright. Double check the sketch. I mean, I do have my layout lines, but still need it to be one stroke waterfalls. This one comes way out of the top. A little more than one stroke waterfalls. Jeez. Alright. Tilt this a little down. This one comes kind of out of the middle. So it'd be like here. Kaboom! Alright. And I'm gonna do the lower ones as well. Double check that. That's good. And then I'll come in for the river. But alright. It's just a thin one here in the center. So it's gonna go doot 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 doot, and then I just realized I need the ability to really pull this. So this canvas wood needs to be up, so I can actually get the drop off the edge. So real gently, just sticking a little here. That's probably a little too much brushing on that, so I'm just gonna stop before I screw that up. And then this one's real wide, so this will be multiple strokes anyway. But gotta make the classic Bob Ross sounds. They shunk. So it's just shunk. 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 Because I established all of those bricks already. Don't have to repaint or anything. They're just in there and they're under there, and that looks right. Like that. We're just back and forth with it. Kaboom! Water. Right. Boom. It won't be this white. I'm going to glaze some yellow on top of it later, but... All right. Back to the grass. Back to the grass, back to the other brush. Oh, right, I need a towel to kneel on. Not a kid anymore. I can't kneel on concrete for a few hours and be okay. Especially not when tomorrow's a work day. Pallet holder. Yeah, I was gonna say you guys can't see that, but I'll tilt that down here. I don't know how far down I have to go to show that, but yeah, the classic A-frame that has a little thing here to hold your pallet so you don't have to worry about it. All right, minimize. A little drier on the brush though. That's better. Man, do I wish I could play my music on these streams. If you guys join the Discord community, though, I can do it there since it's not broadcast beyond the community. I'm probably going to grab my paint markers when I resketch this foreground element, which I'm probably going to do pretty soon before I completely lose track of where it is. Whew. Oh, that feels pretty good. Mostly just waiting to that white to dry before I... Yeah, that's pretty good. Alright. Circle template and paint marker. Gray one. Unfortunately, I am going to have to quit in about 45 minutes or so. This stream was sort of a mental block in my day. I wasn't able to get anything else done until I did this. And I've got a bunch of other stuff to do today, so. All right. How far over here? That. I think my gray paint marker's empty. Or pretty close anyway. Oh, there's some more paint flowing out of there. Good. Might just have been a while since I used it. So this is where my figures are going to be, probably on this left side one. Probably. If not, just right in front of the smaller one. So, yeah. No one practices proper brush etiquette when you're in the zone. Hey, Painter, what's up? Now that I'm thinking about this foreground bridge element, it's something that's been almost a thorn in my side from a painting that I think I may have finally painted over at some point. But I had something sitting in my corner for a long time. That's got to still be in the corner somewhere, right? Oh shit, it is. Oh crap. Let me see if I can fish that out. It's at least 4 or 5 years old, and I remember because, yeah, this is where this idea originated. A friend of mine had seen it, or a friend of mine's significant other had seen it. Like, I really like that. And I'm like, I'm probably not going to finish that. And then the following, it was like that one Christmas party, and then the following Christmas party was still in the corner. She's like, it's still sitting there." I'm like, "Yeah, it's still sitting there." And that's this piece. It's literally got a whole layer of dust on it, but it's this, yeah, this big overlapping bridge element. And I may come back to this piece in the future, but probably not. It will probably come back to the idea, not the piece itself. I'll probably use it to and upscale it into a different piece. And actually, oddly enough, I bet it would look really great on that other board that's this size, but is the other direction. Leaving your brush in the water will make it frizz. Yeah, and I exclusively leave my brushes in the water, which is why all my brushes do that. Is you're not supposed to, but I still do it. Yeah, now we're flowing out of the marker. Just took some time to fill that back in. Nib must have been sitting for so long and it just wasn't saturated. Now I might do my brick technique, not the background one, but my more detailed one for this, because we are all the way in the foreground for it. In which case I will probably drag out my black paint marker as well, my thinner one. Yeah. I am kind of leaning towards putting the figures on the right side. We'll also need to hide my signature somewhere in here. I'm not sure where that's going to be yet. Could probably tuck it up in here, or even off the canvas, just kind of on the, or off the canvas, off the splatter, just to the side. That has kind of been my Achilles heel with these splatter pieces. Like, where the hell do I sign them? I mean, if it's a real bother to the composition, I can do it on the back, but I prefer not to do that. Okay, no more paint marker. That's established what I needed to. Yeah, like nothing but your work matters when you're in the zone. That's kind of how I like. And it's also like, so it gives me an excuse to buy new brushes again, or at least periodically, anyway. Like I'd rather sacrifice brushes if it means the piece turns out better. I'm not selling the used brush. I'm not selling the brushes after like 3 uses. I'm selling the painting after 3 uses. You know. All right. Yeah, the water I'm gonna glaze to be probably my Indian yellow or something like that to really kind of amp up that gold, so it won't be as bright. And then after I do that, it'll establish kind of where I want the light to really radiate everywhere else. I'm surprised. I'm honestly really surprised I'm as far along with this piece as I am today. Up just a little hair more. I'm trying to back the camera up a bit to now that I'm further along, so you guys can see more of the whole piece. But yeah, Might be able to swap to a round brush and start pushing my trees in as well. I think I'm to that point where I can really start pushing and doing that. Definitely more so. Get that brown back out. Still have a big pile of that, which is good. So now, while I'm not necessarily leaving my brushes in the water the whole painting, at a point like this, where I know I'm not going to use them for at least a half hour, I'll go ahead and when I swish my water, then I'll make sure they're out of the bucket. Okay. Yeah, no, you don't. If you're anal about brush care, then you don't end up with as many brushes as I do. And I have equally as amount of these, if not even more, for oil painting. But the oil brushes, again, I didn't buy my oil brushes. I inherited them, so. Though now that I've moved my camera back, it looks like I have to adjust my focus again. Focus. Yeah, we're still pretty good. All right. Now that I'm looking at the background a bit more too, I always got to remind myself to step back, but at least in the lower section here, I'll probably define these bricks a little bit more, at least up to maybe about 5 or 6 bricks up here on either side. But that's a much later process for that. I would say I kind of gave myself till about 4:30 or so. So it'll be another half hour, but um, I am quickly reaching a point where I do just need a mental break. And while there are days where I'll paint for 4, 5, 6 hours, 9 times out of 10, I'm doing just a highly concentrated session like this for no more than about 2.5 to 3. And it really allows me to stay like I want to be fully mentally there for a piece. So it might mean that I'm not painting it as long or as often as a lot of other artists might. But the time that I do put in is way more intense than somebody who might just push through that. So I'm not going to go full liner brush for the trees yet, but at least doing major establishing areas for where I want everything. And this round will let me do most work for him. Probably pull you a little closer for the trees. I just realized, before we were talking about brush brands in series, anything specific? This is probably the one I swear by, and it's the Utrecht Maglin series. You can always tell because they have a color indication. So the rounds are green, the filberts are yellow. Yeah, but like right at the edge of the ferrule, they have a color indication. You can't usually tell when in a painting process video because I tape over the ferrule, usually up to a few inches past, like up to here or so after a while. But yeah, these are, even when they start to splay out, they're still really great. Yeah, that feels pretty good. I can work with that. Well, I'm thinking probably just establish some rough lines for my foreground brick elements here. And that'll probably gonna be I'm probably gonna call it a session after that. Before I completely lose all of my concentration. It is a limited thing, my artistic muse. Before I decide, okay, I gotta stop. But yeah, I should be able to establish. Actually, I got a really thin blue one that might be better for this, rather than going black with it. I don't want them to be really tiny, but if I can. Yeah, that'll be the biggest amount of detail in this piece will be this. And I'll probably want to rip my rip my hair, rip what's left of my hair out just doing this. But every time I do a heavy brick one, it's like, what the hell was I thinking? But again, as I mentioned earlier in the day, this is setting up for a show for the summer. So bringing my A game. I gotta get my straight edge. Any other piece, I might wing it, but I really want these to be as uniform in terms of where they're at. Going across should still feel relatively right. Yeah. Probably by the time I reach this lower section, oh God, I gotta stand up a minute. For the when it comes to doing the detail work, then I'll probably put this on my table, because that'll be like right at the edge, and it'll be a lot easier to manage it. Um, that side now. All right, good. Where's my... Oh shit, I'm missing a line. Wait a minute. This is there. This. Yeah, missing one here. Okay. I'm already... What the hell was I thinking? I'm already dreading having to do all this detail work. It's gonna look amazing when I'm done, but it's gonna probably take me at least 2 solid full painting sessions just to do this. At least I'm not doing much edge painting for the wood ones. Oh, yeah. This foreground bridge might break me. Whew. Alright, actually want to establish maybe one more of those lines here. Oof. Oof. Yeah. That's going to be kind of nuts. And when I say kind of nuts, I mean really nuts. But yeah, I think I gotta stop before I lose my mind now. All right, back this up one more time here. Or rather, as far back as I can manage and still be in frame. There we go. Well, I'd say for a single afternoon painting session, that's pretty damn good. By no means is it anywhere close to done. I'd say probably I would say, like, if I'm thinking percentages, I'd call this maybe like 40%. Especially now that I know I'm going to do all the brickwork on the lower side. So, yeah. Since I do have this brush here, though, I want to grab just a little bit of that white. Like I was saying before, kind of doing that extra highlight. But just right there. Yep. Okay, well. That's definitely reasonable for the day. I will likely be putting a more distinct, clear image of this up on Instagram in a few minutes. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and clean my brushes, clean my palettes up, give you guys a couple minutes to enjoy the 40% through piece, and then we'll wrap things up. If you guys have any other further questions, drop them in chat. Okay. So, I think I'm going to call it here then. So, thanks, guys, so much for checking out today's live stream. As always, this will be back up for later viewing on the channel. Once everything processes out and ever, it'll probably be something along the lines of, I don't know, an hour or two, usually, after the fact. So, this has been from Cinderblock. I'm like mentally drained now from this. This has been from Cinderblock Studios. Reminding you to keep on creating, and I will see you guys next time.